The massive alien ship appeared above Earth without warning. It was 3 times larger than anything humanity had ever built, shaped like a crystalline flower with petals that glowed in colors humans had no names for. Every telescope on the planet turned toward it. Every news station broadcast the same image. After centuries of searching, humanity was no longer alone in the universe. Ambassador G1 stood in the observation deck of Horizon Gate, the orbital station that circled Earth like a steel guardian. She was 42 years old, with silver streaking through her black hair and eyes that had seen 3 decades of diplomatic negotiations. She had settled disputes between colonies, prevented wars over resources, and brought peace to conflicts that seemed impossible to solve. But this was different. This was first contact with an alien species. "They're requesting permission to dock," said the station commander, a nervous young officer whose hands shook as he checked his displays. "Their message is in perfect English. All languages, actually. They knew everything about us before they even arrived." G1 felt a cold weight settle in her stomach, but she kept her face calm. "Grant them permission. Send the standard welcome protocols." She turned to her team. "Remember your training. We represent all of humanity today." The alien delegation arrived 2 hours later. They called themselves the Velthar, and they looked almost human, which somehow made them more unsettling. They walked on 2 legs, had 2 arms, and faces that could have passed for human, if not for the slight shimmer to their skin, like oil on water. Their leader introduced himself as High Consul Vextar. He smiled with too many teeth. "Greetings, Ambassador G1, Vextar said, his voice smooth and practiced. "We are pleased to finally meet the newest species to reach the stars. You have done well to spread across 47 star systems in such a short time. Very impressive for such a young civilization." They knew exactly how many systems humanity had colonized. They had been watching for some time. The negotiations took place in a conference room designed to impress visitors. Windows showed Earth rotating below, blue and beautiful. G1 sat across from Vextar and 2 other Velthar officials. Her own team included military advisors, scientists, and representatives from every major nation and colony. Vextar spoke about the Galactic Concordat, the organization he represented. 10,000 worlds, he said. Thousands of species living in peace and prosperity under Velthar guidance. They had maintained order in the galaxy for over 3,000 years. "We bring you an invitation," Vextar continued, sliding a crystalline data device across the table. "Join the Concordat. Accept our protection. Benefit from our trade networks, our technology, our wisdom. All we ask is that you follow the same rules as everyone else." G1 picked up the device carefully. "What kind of rules?" "Simple ones. All member species contribute to the Concordat's defense forces. All member species accept Concordat oversight of their expansion. All member species submit disputes to Concordat arbitration." Vextar's smile widened. "It is a small price for peace and prosperity. And if we refuse?" G1 asked. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Vextar's smile remained, but something changed in his eyes. "That would be unfortunate. Species who refuse Concordat membership find themselves isolated. No trade, no diplomatic relations, no access to resources beyond their current territory. The galaxy can be a very lonely place, Ambassador." G1 spent the next 3 days reviewing the documents the Velthar provided. She barely slept. Something felt wrong, like a puzzle with missing pieces. The treaties seemed fair on the surface, but the details were troubling. The Concordat had final authority over member species. They could veto any expansion. They could demand resources. They could station troops on any world they deemed necessary for galactic security. On the 4th day, she found what she was looking for. Buried deep in the historical records was a list of species who had refused Concordat membership. 47 names. Next to each name was a date of refusal, and then nothing. No current status, no update. Just empty space where information should be. She called an emergency meeting with her team in a secured room. "They're hiding something," she said, projecting the list onto the screen. 47 species refused to join. "Where are they now?" Her chief analyst, a young woman named Bora, had been digging deeper. "I asked Vextar about them. He said they changed their minds eventually. But I checked the public databases. These species don't exist anymore. No embassy, no ships, no communication, nothing. Economic pressure?" suggested one of the military advisors. "For 3,000 years? Bora shook her head. "No economy could survive complete isolation that long. Something else happened to them. Meanwhile, Captain Hyunwoo watched the alien ship from the bridge of the UES Retribution, one of humanity's most advanced warships. He was a tall man with scars on his hands from years of combat duty. His family had died when pirates raided the outer colony where they lived. He had spent the last 15 years hunting down pirates and protecting human settlements. He understood predators, and everything about the Velthar screamed predator to him. "Sir, the diplomatic team is requesting military assessments," his first officer reported. "They want to know if we could defend against the Velthar if negotiations go badly." Hyunwoo studied the alien ship on his displays. Its weapons were hidden, but scanners showed massive power sources throughout the vessel. "Tell them the truth. That ship could destroy every satellite around Earth before we could fire a shot. We're outgunned by a factor of 10 minimum. Should we mobilize the fleet?" "Not yet. But send a quiet alert to all commanders. I want every ship ready to move within 6 hours." Hyunwoo leaned back in his chair. "And find me everything we know about their technology. Strengths, weaknesses, anything we can use." Back on Horizon Gate, Jiwon met with Vextar for the final negotiation session. She had made her decision. "We need time to consider your offer," she said carefully. "This is not a decision humanity can make lightly. We need to consult with all our colonies, all our governments." Vexitar's pleasant expression cracked slightly. "Time? How much time?" 6 months. Perhaps a year." "Unacceptable." Vextar stood, his movements sharp and sudden. "The Concordat has extended its hand in friendship. We have offered you everything. Now you speak of delays?" He leaned forward, and for the first time, Ji-won saw the truth behind his mask. "You have 90 days, Ambassador. 90 days to accept our generous offer. If you refuse, you will face the consequences of your choice." "Is that a threat?" Ji-won stood as well, meeting his eyes. "It is reality." Vextar smiled again, but there was no warmth in it. "Ask yourself, Ambassador, where are those 47 species now? Ask yourself why no one refuses the Concordat twice." The Velthar delegation left that same day. Their ship vanished into faster-than-light travel, leaving humanity alone with a terrible choice. Submit to the Concordat's rule, or face whatever fate had befallen those 47 vanished species. Jiwon watched their ship disappear from the observation deck. Captain Hyunwoo stood beside her. Neither spoke for a long moment. Finally, Jiwon broke the silence. "They're not peacekeepers, are they?" "No," Hyunwoo said quietly. "There's something much worse. Then we have 90 days to prepare for war." Hyunwoo nodded. "I'll start immediately." As Earth rotated below them, beautiful and fragile, both of them understood that humanity's greatest test was coming. The Velthar had given them 3 months to surrender. Instead, they would use those 3 months to survive. The research colony on Kepler 442b was 1,200 light-years from Earth, far enough that the night sky looked completely different from home. The planet orbited an orange dwarf star, and its sunsets painted the sky in shades of red and gold that no Earth sunset could match. 150,000 people lived there, mining rare elements and conducting scientific research. It was peaceful. It was isolated. It was perfect for what came next. Scientist Dae-hyun had not slept in 3 days. His eyes burned from staring at screens and his hands cramped from typing, but he could not stop. Not now. Not when he was so close to the truth. The Velthar had provided humanity with extensive databases about the Galactic Concordat, public records, historical archives, cultural information. Everything seemed transparent and legitimate. But Dae-hyun had spent 20 years finding patterns in data that others missed. He had discovered 3 new elements by analyzing stellar spectra. He had predicted solar flares with 98% accuracy, and now he had found something the Velthar never intended anyone to find. Buried in the historical records were fragments of encrypted data, tiny pieces scattered throughout thousands of files, each one small enough to escape notice. But when assembled together, they formed something much larger, a hidden archive, a secret history. It had taken him 72 hours to break the encryption, using every computing resource the colony had available. The lead administrator had threatened to shut him down twice, saying he was wasting power on conspiracy theories. But Dae-hyun had convinced her to give him one more day, just one more day. Now, staring at his screen, he wished she had shut him down. He wished he had never looked. The files showed the truth about the Concordate's peaceful expansion. Species who refused membership did not simply fade away. They were systematically eliminated. The Velthar had perfected a weapon unlike anything humanity had imagined. A biological weapon that targeted specific genetic markers, customized for each species. It spread through populations faster than any plague, killing with absolute efficiency while leaving all infrastructure intact. Daehyun scrolled through the reports with shaking hands. The Velthar had used this weapon 47 times. 47 species, billions of individuals. Each one studied, catalogued, and then erased from existence. Their worlds were left empty and clean, ready for Velthar colonists to claim. They were not peacekeepers, they were exterminators. He had to tell Earth. He had to warn them. Daehyun gathered all the evidence into a single compressed file and began the transmission to Earth. It would take weeks for the message to arrive, but at least humanity would know what they were facing. He encrypted it with the highest level security codes and launched it into the communication network. The response came faster than any message from Earth could travel. Warning, his computer announced. Incoming Velthar transmission, priority override. The screens around his laboratory all switched to the same image. High Consul Vextar appeared, his face calm and pleasant as always. But his eyes held something cold and final. Greetings, Scientist Daehyun of Kepler 442b, Vextar said. Did you truly think we would leave our archives unprotected? Did you think we would not monitor who accessed them? Daehyun's blood turned to ice. You knew. You knew I was reading them. Of course, we allowed it. Vextar smiled. You are not the first scientist to discover the truth. Others have found it before you. Others have tried to warn their people. It changes nothing. He leaned closer to the camera. Your transmission never left your system, Daehyun. We intercepted it. And now, because you could not simply accept the Concordate's generous offer, your colony must face the consequences. No. Daehyun stood so fast his chair fell over. No, there are children here. Families. 150,000 people who had nothing to do with this. They had everything to do with this. They are human. Vextar's smile vanished. You wanted to know what happens to species who refuse the Concordate? Now you will learn firsthand. Consider this a demonstration for your leaders on Earth. A reminder that the Concordate does not make empty threats. The transmission ended. Alarms began blaring throughout the colony. In orbit above the planet, 3 Velthar ships appeared from faster-than-light travel. They did not fire weapons. They did not send troops. They simply released a cloud of microscopic particles that entered the planet's atmosphere and spread across the entire colony in minutes. The first person died within an hour, a teacher in the primary school. She collapsed in front of her students, bleeding from her eyes and nose. The children screamed. Then they started dying too. Daehyun watched the disaster unfold from his laboratory, helpless. The weapon was perfect. It targeted human DNA with absolute precision. No medicine could stop it. No treatment could slow it. People died in their homes, in the streets, in each other's arms. The colony's hospital became a morgue. The emergency services became overwhelmed within minutes. He tried everything he could think of. He analyzed samples of the weapon. He ran simulations. He searched for any weakness, any way to stop it. But he was a physicist, not a doctor. And even if he were, the weapon was beyond anything human medicine had encountered. The colony's administrator called him as she lay dying in her office. Get out, she whispered, blood on her lips. Take whoever you can and get out. Warn Earth. Make sure this means something. 3 days into the outbreak, Captain Hyunwoo's ship arrived at Kepler 442b. The UES Retribution had been on patrol in a nearby system when they received the colony's distress signal. They were too late to stop the attack, but maybe not too late to save survivors. Hyunwoo stood on the bridge, staring at the planet below. The Velthar ships were gone. They had done their work and left. No occupation, no ground troops. Just a weapon and silence. Sir, "We're detecting life signs," his first officer reported. "Scattered throughout the colony, maybe 3,000 people still alive. Get every shuttle down there now," Hyunwoo ordered. "Medical teams, biohazard suits, everything we have. I want those people off that planet in 6 hours. Sir, the biological agent could contaminate our ship. Then we'll deal with it. Those are our people down there. We're not leaving them." Hyunwoo's voice was hard as steel. "And someone find me the scientist who sent the distress signal. I want to know exactly what happened here." They found Dae-hyun in his laboratory, still alive. The weapon had not killed him yet. Though he showed early symptoms, he had been working non-stop to document everything, to save every piece of data he could. When the rescue team arrived, he refused to leave until he had finished uploading all his research to their ship. They did this as a demonstration, Dae-hyun told Hyunwoo, as they lifted off from the dying planet. Below them, the colony was silent. 147,000 people had died in less than a week. They wanted Earth to see what happens to species who refuse the Concordate. Hyunwoo watched the planet shrink behind them. His jaw was tight, his hands clenched into fists. He had seen death before. He had lost his own family to violence. But this was different. This was not war. This was extermination. "Did you get the evidence?" he asked. "Proof of what they are?" "Everything." Dae-hyun coughed, and blood spotted his hand. "Their entire history, every species they have murdered, every weapon they have used, all of it." "Good." Hyunwoo turned to his communications officer. "Send everything to Earth, maximum priority, and send a message to Ambassador Ji-won. Tell her the monsters have revealed themselves. Tell her we are out of time." The 3,000 survivors were placed in isolation aboard the Retribution. Doctors worked around the clock trying to treat the bioweapons' effects. Most of the survivors would live, but they would carry the memory of what happened for the rest of their lives. Dae-hyun survived because the rescue team had reached him early enough. The weapon was designed to spread slowly at first, building to maximum lethality after 72 hours. He would recover, but 147,000 others would not. As the Retribution jumped to faster-than-light travel, racing back to Earth with evidence of the Velthar's crimes, Hyunwoo made himself a promise. The Velthar thought they could intimidate humanity with demonstrations of their power. They thought one massacre would make Earth surrender. They were wrong. This was not intimidation. This was a declaration of war. And humanity would answer in a way the Velthar had never experienced before. In his quarters, Dae-hyun stared at the data he had recovered. 47 species. Billions dead. 3,000 years of systematic genocide dressed up as peacekeeping. The Velthar had been doing this since before humans discovered fire, but they had never faced a species quite like humanity before. They had never faced a species that refused to die quietly. They had never faced a species that would burn the galaxy down before accepting extinction. The monsters had revealed themselves. Now they would learn what happens when you threaten humanity's survival. They would learn too late that some species do not negotiate with monsters. Some species destroy them. The emergency session of the United Earth Council took place in Geneva, in a chamber designed to hold 200 representatives from every nation and colony in human space. Today, every seat was filled. Holographic displays showed participants from distant colonies, their images flickering slightly from the time delay. The air was thick with tension and fear. Ambassador Ji-won stood at the central podium. Behind her, massive screens displayed the evidence from Kepler 442b. Images of the dead, records of the Velthar's crimes, the hidden history of 47 extinct species. Every person in the chamber had seen the reports. Every person understood what humanity was facing. "They gave us 90 days to surrender," Ji-won said, her voice carrying through the silent chamber. "They have taken back their offer. Kepler 442b was their answer to our request for time. 147,000 people, dead in less than a week. Men, women, children, everyone." She paused, letting the weight of those words settle. "The Velthar do not negotiate. They do not compromise. They make demands, and if you refuse, they eliminate you. They have done this for 3,000 years to 47 different species. We are not the first they have threatened, but I propose we be the last they ever threaten again. Admiral Su-jin rose from her seat. She was 60 years old, with gray hair cut military short and medals from 3 different wars on her uniform. She had commanded humanity's combined fleet for 8 years, keeping peace among the colonies and defending against pirates and raiders. Now she faced an enemy unlike anything she had prepared for. "We are not ready for this war," Su-jin said bluntly. "The Velthar have 500 warships at their immediate disposal. We have 180. Their technology is more advanced. Their weapons are more powerful. Their ships are faster and stronger than ours." She looked around the chamber. "If we fight them today, we lose." Murmurs of fear rippled through the council. Some representatives called for immediate surrender. Others demanded they fight regardless of the odds. The chamber erupted in arguments. President Tae-yang raised his hand for silence. He was young for a president, only 52, but his eyes held the weight of the decision he was about to make. "Admiral Su-jin, you said we are not ready today. Can we be ready?" "Maybe." Su-jin brought up tactical displays. "Our technology is different from theirs. Less advanced in some ways, but we have advantages they do not expect. Our weapons are simpler, more brutal. Our tactics are unconventional, and we have something they do not have." "What is that?" asked a colony representative. "Desperation. Species who have something to lose fight harder than species who are comfortable with their power." Su-jin's expression was grim. "But we need time. Time to mobilize. Time to prepare. Time to build defenses." Ji-won stepped forward again. "Then we buy time. One more attempt at diplomacy. One more message to the Velthar. We offer them a choice. Leave human space peacefully or face the consequences." "They will refuse," said another council member. "You said yourself they do not negotiate." "They will refuse," Ji-won agreed. "But the rest of the galaxy is watching. When the Velthar rejected our first request for time, they sent ships to murder 147,000 civilians. Let them refuse again. Let the galaxy see that we offered peace and they chose genocide. We need witnesses. We need the moral high ground for what comes next." President Tae-yang stood. "Then we are agreed. Ambassador Ji-won will send one final diplomatic message. Admiral Su-jin will mobilize our fleets and prepare our defenses. And if the Velthar refuse to leave peacefully..." He paused. "Then humanity goes to war." The vote was unanimous. While the politicians debated, scientist Dae-hyun worked with Dr. Young-hee in a secure laboratory beneath Geneva. Young-hee was one of humanity's leading experts in genetic medicine. She had spent her entire career fighting diseases that others said could not be cured. Now she faced a weapon designed to be incurable. "The bioweapon is elegant," Young-hee said, studying samples under a microscope. "It targets specific genetic markers that are unique to each species. For humans, it attacks our cellular repair mechanisms. Our bodies literally cannot heal the damage it causes." "Can you stop it?" Dae-hyun asked. "Stop it? No. The weapon was designed by scientists who had 3,000 years to perfect it." Young-hee looked up from her microscope. "But I can slow it down. Maybe even prevent it from spreading. Humans are genetically diverse. 3 centuries of space colonization. Genetic modifications for different environments, mixing of populations. We are not as uniform as the species the Velthar usually targets. That is an advantage. It means their weapon will not work as well on us. It will take them longer to engineer a perfect version. And if I can develop a broad-spectrum vaccine..." Young-hee returned to her work. "Give me 6 weeks. I can give humanity a fighting chance." Dae-hyun left her to work and went to another part of the facility where engineer Sang-woo was coordinating humanity's weapons development. Sang-woo was younger than most military engineers, barely 35, but he had designed half the weapon systems currently in use by Earth's fleet. "We cannot match their technology," Sang-woo said, showing Dae-hyun blueprints and simulations. "Their energy shields, their faster-than-light drives, their plasma weapons, all superior to ours. But we do not need to match them. We need to surprise them." "How?" "The Velthar fight clean wars. Plasma beams, energy shields, tactics that have been refined over thousands of years." Sang-woo smiled grimly. "We will fight dirty. Kinetic weapons, nuclear warheads, relativistic projectiles, all the weapons that civilized species do not use anymore because they are too barbaric." "Will it work?" "Their shields are designed to stop energy weapons. A tungsten rod moving at 30% the speed of light does not care about energy shields. It just punches through." Sang-woo pulled up more designs. We have 6 weeks to turn every colony into a fortress, every station into a weapons platform, every ship into a threat. The Velthar think they know how humans fight. We are going to teach them otherwise. Meanwhile, aboard the UES Retribution, Captain Hyunwoo gathered his senior officers. His ship was one of 12 Wraith-class destroyers, designed for stealth and hit-and-run attacks against pirates. They were small, fast, and deadly, perfect for what he had in mind. The Admiralty is planning conventional defense, Hyunwoo told his officers. Fleet engagements, battle lines, everything by the book. That is not how we fight. His first officer, Lieutenant Ji-hoon, nodded, understanding. You want us to go hunting? Exactly. The Velthar will bring their main fleet to human space. While Admiral Soo-jin keeps them busy, we slip past their lines. We find their supply bases, their repair facilities, their command stations, and we destroy them. Hyunwoo's expression was hard. The Velthar taught us about total war at Kepler 442b. Time to return the lesson. 3 days later, Ambassador Ji-won sent her message to the Velthar. It was broadcast across all known communication channels, ensuring the entire galaxy could hear it. High Consul Vextar, she began, her voice calm and professional. Humanity has reviewed your offer to join the Concordat. We respectfully decline. We have also reviewed the evidence of your crimes against 47 extinct species. We know what you are. We know what you do to those who refuse you. She paused. Therefore, humanity extends this one-time offer to you. Leave our space within 30 days. Withdraw your ships. Abandon your plans for our extinction. Do this and there will be peace between our peoples. Another pause. If you refuse, if you continue your threats, if you send even one ship into human territory with hostile intent, then we will defend ourselves. With every weapon we possess, with every advantage we can create, with everything we have and everything we are. She looked directly into the camera. You have exterminated 47 species. You will not exterminate a 48th. This is not a negotiation. This is a promise. Leave peacefully, or face the consequences. You have 30 days to decide. The response came within hours. High Consul Vextar appeared on every screen, his pleasant mask completely gone. His face showed only contempt. Humanity, you are children playing with weapons you do not understand. The Concordat has fought 10,000 wars. We have never lost. We have crushed empires. We have extinguished species more powerful than yours. You think your threats frighten us? He laughed. We gave you a gift at Kepler 442b, a quick death for a few thousand. If you force us to bring our full might against you, the dying will take years. Your people will beg for mercy that will never come. Vextar leaned forward. You have 30 days, Ambassador. 30 days before we begin your species' extinction. Use them to make peace with whatever gods you believe in. The Concordat is coming, and we will show you why no species refuses us twice. The transmission ended. President Taeyang addressed the world from Geneva. The Velthar have made their choice. Now humanity makes ours. We will not surrender. We will not submit. We will fight. Every man, every woman, every colony, every ship. We fight together or we die together. There is no middle ground anymore. Admiral Soo-jin began mobilizing the fleet. Engineer Sang-woo started deploying weapons platforms. Dr. Young-hee accelerated her vaccine research. Captain Hyunwoo prepared his stealth ships for deep strikes into enemy territory. The forge was a secret that only 300 people in all of humanity knew about. It floated in the dark spaces beyond Neptune, hidden among the debris and ice of the Kuiper Belt. From the outside, it looked like just another mining facility. From the inside, it was where humanity built its most dangerous weapons. Engineer Sang-woo stood in the main hangar, watching as the latest batch of autonomous defense platforms rolled off the assembly line. Each one was the size of a small shuttle, packed with sensors, computers, and enough firepower to destroy a ship 10 times its size. They looked crude compared to the elegant Velthar technology, but that was the point. These were not designed to be pretty. They were designed to kill. How many can we build in 30 days? Admiral Soo-jin asked, standing beside him. She had come to the forge in person to oversee preparations. Every hour mattered now. 2,000 platforms, Sang-woo replied. Maybe 2,500 if we run 3 shifts and skip safety checks. Each one can operate independently or in coordination with others. Once deployed, they will create a defensive grid around every human colony. And the kinetic weapons? Sang-woo smiled, though there was no humor in it. Operational. We have been testing them for 2 years in secret. Tungsten rods accelerated to .3 light speed. The Velthar shields are designed to deflect energy weapons. These will punch straight through. He brought up a simulation on a nearby display. Their plasma beams heat our armor. Our kinetic weapons deliver raw kinetic energy. Different physics. Different defenses needed. They are not prepared for this. What about the nuclear option? Sujin asked quietly. Sang-Woo's expression turned grim. We have enough fusion warheads to glass every planet in human space twice over. The Velthar do not use nuclear weapons anymore. Too primitive, too messy, too hard to control. He met her eyes. That is exactly why they will not expect them. In another section of the forge, pilot Minji was being briefed on the most dangerous mission humanity had ever conceived. She was 28 years old, one of the youngest pilots to ever fly a military fighter and the best pilot in the entire fleet. Her reflexes were faster, her instincts sharper, her courage greater than anyone else. That was why they chose her for this. This is a one-way mission, the briefing officer explained, trying to be gentle about it. You will be flying a modified fighter loaded with an experimental weapon directly into the Velthar flagship. The weapon will overload their reactor core, destroying the ship and everything within 50 kilometers. Minji studied the specifications calmly. What are my odds of surviving? 0. The explosion will be... I understand. She looked up from the documents. But if I destroy their flagship, if I take out their command structure, how much does that help our chances? It could change everything. Without unified command, their fleet will be vulnerable. Confused. We could actually win the opening engagement. Minji nodded. Then I will do it. The briefing officer started to say something else, but engineer Sang-Woo entered the room. Actually, there might be a way to get you out alive, he said. We have been developing an emergency teleporter. Short range only, maybe 3 kilometers. It has never been tested with a living person. What are the odds it works? Minji asked, honestly. 50-50. It might work perfectly. It might scatter your atoms across space. It might do nothing at all, Minji smiled. Better odds than 0. I'll take it. Meanwhile, Captain Hyunwoo gathered the commanders of all 12 Wraith-class destroyers for a classified briefing. They met in virtual space, their holographic forms sitting around a table while their actual bodies remained on their respective ships, scattered across human territory. Operation Ghost Protocol, Hyunwoo began, bringing up a star map. While Admiral Sujin's main fleet engages the Velthar at our borders, we will slip past them into their territory. Our targets are their supply lines, communication relays, manufacturing centers. We hit them where it hurts most. One of the other captains, a woman named Hee-Wan, spoke up. We will be deep behind enemy lines with no support. If we get caught, we are dead. Yes, Hyunwoo agreed. That is why we will not get caught. Wraith-class ships were designed for stealth. Our hulls absorb sensor sweeps. Our engines run cold. We can slip through their detection grids like ghosts. He highlighted several targets on the map. These are Velthar repair facilities. Without them, damaged ships cannot be fixed. These are their supply depots. Without them, their fleet runs out of ammunition and fuel. These are their communication hubs. Without them, they cannot coordinate their forces. How long do we have? Asked another captain. As long as it takes. Days, weeks, months. We keep hitting them until either they surrender or we are all dead. Hyunwoo's expression was hard. The Velthar think this will be a clean war. Fleet against fleet. They think they can just overwhelm us with numbers. We are going to teach them that fighting humanity means fighting dirty. Back on Earth, Dr. Young-hee worked around the clock in her laboratory. She had not slept in 3 days. Her team of 12 researchers was just as exhausted, but none of them stopped. Every hour they wasted meant more people would die when the Velthar weapon was deployed. The vaccine is ready for testing, she announced to her team. It is not perfect. It will not provide complete immunity, but it should reduce mortality by 60 to 70%. One of her researchers, a young man named Kai Tai, looked worried. Should we test on animals first? Follow proper protocols. We do not have time for proper protocols, Young-hee said bluntly. The Velthar will be here in 26 days. We need this vaccine in production now. She rolled up her sleeve. I will be the first test subject. Doctor, we cannot. Yes, we can. Someone has to be first. It might as well be me. She prepared the injection herself, hands steady despite her exhaustion. If it works, we save billions. If it does not work, at least we learn something for the next attempt. She injected herself with the vaccine, then sat down to wait. The test would take 6 hours to show results. 6 hours to see if her work would save humanity or if they would need to start over. Ambassador Jiwan spent those same days making a different kind of preparation. She compiled all the evidence of Velthar crimes into a comprehensive broadcast that would be transmitted to every known species in the galaxy. Not just the truth about the 47 extinct species, but detailed proof. Genetic samples, weapon specifications, communication intercepts, everything. They will try to stop this transmission, Intelligence Officer Bora warned. The moment we start broadcasting, they will jam our signals. Then we do not broadcast from one location, G1 replied. We broadcast from every human colony simultaneously. Every ship, every station. They cannot stop them all. We flood the galaxy with the truth until every species knows what the Velthar really are. And if other species do not care, if they choose to stay neutral? G1 smiled grimly. Then at least they cannot say they did not know. When this is over, when the Velthar are defeated, every species that stood by and did nothing will have to live with that choice. 3 days before the Velthar fleet was scheduled to arrive, Admiral Su-jin gathered all of humanity's military commanders for a final briefing. 200 officers representing every ship in the fleet, every defense station, every colony militia. They appeared as holograms, their faces grim but determined. This is what we know, Su-jin began. The Velthar are bringing 500 warships. They will arrive at the edge of our territory in exactly 72 hours. Their plan is simple. Overwhelm us with superior numbers and technology. Destroy our fleet, then proceed to each colony and deploy their bioweapon. They have done this 47 times before. They expect it to work again, she paused. They are wrong. We have advantages they do not know about. Our kinetic weapons, our defense platforms, our vaccines, our willingness to fight with tactics they consider barbaric. She looked at each commander, but more than that, we have something they lost thousands of years ago. We have everything to fight for. They fight because it is what they do. We fight because if we lose, humanity dies. That makes all the difference, Captain Hyunwoo spoke up. What are our orders, Admiral? Simple, make them regret ever finding us. Make them hurt for every meter of space they take. Make this so bloody, so costly, so painful that even if they win, they will never threaten another species again. Su-jin's voice was hard as steel. The Velthar think they are the monsters of this galaxy. Time to show them what real monsters look like. In the final hours before the battle, Engineer Sang-woo sent the last automated defense platform to its deployment position. 2,400 platforms, spread across 12 star systems, all linked in a coordinated network. Each one armed with enough firepower to destroy a ship and smart enough to pick its own targets. Dr. Young-hee's vaccine went into mass production. 20 billion doses manufactured in 3 days, using every pharmaceutical facility humanity had. Not enough to protect everyone, but enough to save most of the population if the Velthar deployed their bioweapon. Pilot Min-ji climbed into her modified fighter for a final systems check. The weapon was armed. The teleporter was installed. Everything was ready. She would only get one shot at the Velthar flagship. She intended to make it count. The Battle of Horizon Gate would be remembered as the day the galaxy learned to fear humanity. Admiral Su-jin stood on the bridge of the UES Indomitable, humanity's largest battleship. Around her, 180 ships formed a defensive line around Jupiter's moon Europa. Behind them, Earth floated in space, blue and green and fragile. Every person on that bridge knew they were outnumbered almost 3 to 1. Every person knew the odds of survival were slim. None of them planned to run. Enemy fleet entering weapons range, the tactical officer reported. They are maintaining formation. No sign of concern about our positions. Su-jin watched the displays as the Velthar fleet advanced. 500 ships, each one larger and more powerful than anything humanity had built. They moved with absolute confidence like predators who had never known defeat. Open a channel, Su-jin ordered. High Consul Vextar's face appeared on the main screen. Behind him, the bridge of his flagship was pristine and elegant, with crew members moving with calm efficiency. He smiled when he saw Su-jin. Admiral, have you reconsidered your foolish resistance? It is not too late to surrender. I can make your deaths quick and painless. I have a counteroffer, Su-jin replied calmly. Turn your fleet around and leave. You are not welcome in human space, Vextar laughed. Brave words from someone about to die. I almost admire your species' courage. Almost. But courage without power is just stupidity. He gestured lazily. I will give you 1 minute to order your ships to stand down. After that, we will destroy you and proceed to Earth. Consider this my final mercy. Then I have one question before we begin, Sujin said. How many of those 500 ships do you expect to bring home? Vextar's smile faded slightly. All of them. Your weapons cannot penetrate our shields. Your ships are too slow to escape. This battle is already over. You are wrong about one thing, Sujin said quietly. This battle has not started yet. She cut the channel and turned to her crew. All ships engage defensive protocols. Prepare for contact in 30 seconds. The Velthar fleet opened fire first. Hundreds of plasma beams lanced across space, bright as suns. They struck human shields and armor, heating metal until it glowed red. 3 human destroyers exploded in the first volley. Another 5 took critical damage. Return fire, Sujin ordered. Human ships launched their own weapons, missiles, lasers, plasma cannons, everything they had. The attack struck Velthar shields and dissipated harmlessly. The aliens had been fighting wars for thousands of years. Their defenses were perfect against conventional weapons, but humanity was not using conventional weapons. Deploy kinetic artillery, Sujin commanded. From concealed positions on Europa's surface, massive railguns activated. They launched tungsten rods the size of telephone poles, accelerating them to 30% of light speed. The rods crossed the distance to the Velthar fleet in seconds. The first rod struck a Velthar cruiser amidships. The energy shields, designed to deflect plasma and particles, might as well have been tissue paper. The rod punched clean through, its kinetic energy so immense that it simply tore the ship in half. The 2 pieces drifted apart, atmosphere venting into space along with hundreds of bodies. 10 more rods hit 10 more ships. The Velthar formation, so perfect and confident moments before, dissolved into chaos. What was that? Vextar's voice came through on an open channel, no longer smooth and mocking. What kind of weapon? The kind you forgot existed, Sujin replied. Simple physics. Mass times velocity. Your shields stop energy. They do not stop matter. Admiral Sujin pressed her advantage. All ships advance. Activate defense grid. The 2,000 autonomous platforms that engineer Sangwoo had deployed suddenly came online. They had been drifting in space, cold and silent, invisible to Velthar sensors. Now they activated their weapons all at once. The Velthar fleet found itself surrounded by a cloud of small, fast-moving platforms. Each one targeted a different ship. Each one fired kinetic rounds, missiles, and nuclear warheads. The elegant alien formation became a killing field. We are taking fire from all directions, Vextar's tactical officer reported in the background of his transmission. They are everywhere. 20 Velthar ships died in the first minute of the defense grid's activation. 30 more in the second minute. The aliens tried to adapt, tried to target the platforms, but there were too many. For every platform they destroyed, 3 more took its place. Then Captain Hyunwoo's stealth ship struck. 12 Wraith-class destroyers materialized inside the Velthar formation. They had been there the entire time, cloaked and waiting. Now they opened fire at point-blank range, targeting engines and weapon systems. The Velthar crews panicked. Enemy ships inside their formation? Impossible. But there they were, and they were tearing the fleet apart from within. Now, Sujin said quietly. Pilot Minji launched from the Indomitable's hangar bay. Her fighter was tiny compared to the massive warships surrounding her. Easy to miss in the chaos of battle. She accelerated toward the Velthar flagship, dodging plasma fire and debris. Her fighter's computer counted down the distance. 3 kilometers. 2 kilometers. 1 kilometer. The flagship's point defense systems finally noticed her, but too late. She was already inside their effective range. Minji armed the weapon Sangwoo had designed. A focused electromagnetic pulse powerful enough to overload a ship's reactor from the inside. She had 1 shot. She took a deep breath and fired. The pulse lanced out invisible but devastating. It struck the flagship's shields and passed right through. Energy shields stopped plasma. They did not stop electromagnetic fields. The pulse hit the reactor core. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the flagship's lights flickered. Went out, emergency power kicked in. Deep inside the ship, safety systems screamed warnings as the reactor began an uncontrolled chain reaction. Teleporter active, Minji's computer announced. 3 seconds to emergency. Extraction. She could see the flagship starting to glow from within. Heat, radiation, the beginning of an explosion. that would vaporize everything within 50 kilometers. 2 seconds. The ship's hull began to crack. 1 second, the world went. White Minji felt her body pulled apart and reassembled in the space of a heartbeat. The sensation was indescribable, like being turned inside out and back again. Then she was lying on the floor of the UES Retribution's medical bay, gasping for air, alive but barely conscious. Behind her, through the viewports, the Velthar flagship exploded. The blast wave expanded in a sphere of fire and light, consuming a dozen nearby ships. High Consul Vexitar died without ever understanding how a primitive species had defeated him. The battle turned. Without their flagship, without their commander, the Velthar fleet lost coordination. Ships tried to retreat. Ships tried to regroup. Ships tried to continue fighting. None of it was organized. None of it was effective. Admiral Su Jin's fleet pressed the attack. Captain Hyunwoo's stealth ships continued their deadly work, appearing and disappearing like ghosts. The defense platforms picked off stragglers. The kinetic artillery from Europa kept firing, each shot destroying another alien ship. The Velthar fleet broke and ran. Of the 500 ships that had arrived so confidently, only 380 escaped. 120 had been destroyed. Thousands of Velthar were dead. Their perfect record of victories had been shattered. Humanity had lost 40 ships and 800 defense platforms. The price was high, but they had won. Against superior numbers and technology, humanity had won. But Intelligence Officer Bora brought Admiral Su Jin news that turned victory bitter. "Admiral, we have intercepted Velthar communications. They are not retreating to their home territory. They are heading for a facility in the Gamma Serpentis system." "What kind of facility?" Bora's face was pale. "Their bioweapon laboratory. The place where they engineer the weapons that killed those 47 species. They are going there to create a new weapon specifically for humans, one that our vaccines will not stop." Sujin felt cold despite the warmth of the bridge. They had won the battle, but the war was far from over. The Velthar were not done trying to exterminate humanity. They were just changing tactics. How long before they can deploy the new weapon? Unknown. Weeks, maybe months. But once it is ready, they will use it on every human colony simultaneously. We will not have time to evacuate. We will not have time to develop countermeasures. Su Jin looked at the tactical display, at the battered but victorious human fleet, at Earth floating peacefully in the distance. They had proven they could fight. They had proven they could win battles. But could they win the war before the Velthar completed their ultimate weapon? "Get me Captain Hyunwoo," she said, "and wake up pilot Minji if the doctors say she can travel. We need to destroy that laboratory before they finish their work." In the medical bay, Minji opened her eyes. Every nerve in her body felt like it was on fire from the teleportation. But she was alive. The experimental technology had worked, barely. "Did we get the flagship?" she asked the doctor standing over her. "You got it. Destroyed it completely. The fleet is calling you a hero." Minji tried to smile, but the pain made it difficult. "Good. Because I think I am going to need to do it again." Across human space, people celebrated their first victory against the